Here I am at Abbott Park Farm, 5:30 AM on Monday the 4th of June. I had a very early night in bed last night. I was very tired, and I don't know why I was so tired, but maybe the effects of having such a bad night on Saturday night with my rowdy next door neighbours. And my plan today is to drive into Barrow. I've got some shopping to do. I need to find a Tesco. Quite a few needs today. I'm looking forward to getting back on the move again. One or two spots of rain earlier on, but the sun is out this morning. A little bit cloudy, but I'm quite sure it's going to break. Might not be hot and sunny, but I think it's going to be still shorts weather. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a bit of a drive back into Barrow, but I'll find it. Right, well, I've reached the point now where the coastal track has virtually run out. I don't want to carry on walking down the coastline and finding myself in a similar situation as I have done over the last week or so, where you come to a kind of a dead end and can't get through, meaning you've got to put in a lot of extra miles to either walk back or walk further round. So I'm taking this path, which will lead me onto the main road into Barrow in Furness. I've got no idea what to expect when I get there, but I'm ready for some breakfast, so being on a main road, it might be a good idea. o'clock Tuesday morning, and I'm just setting off from Rower Island, where I stayed last night, nice and quiet by the boatyard. It was quite windy during the night actually, and you could hear a familiar sound of the ropes slapping on the masts. You could hear it all night. But this morning I was awake very early. I was awake at about 4:30, and mind you, I was in bed at 8 o'clock last night. I was very tired, and there was a really big thick black cloud covering the whole area, which has moved away to the south, and looking to the north it was bright and sunny in the far distance, and eventually it took probably 3 or 4 hours for this big black cloud to disappear. I thought we was gonna be in for a bad day, but this is like a perfect day for walking, and I'm heading for Ulverston, and it's going to be, when I say an easy walk, all I've got to do is just follow the estuary for about 10-15 miles. I'm not quite sure exactly how far, into Ulverston, and then all I need to do is get a train back to Barrow, and I can get a bus back here to Rower Island, and so it's going to be quite a steady day. It was a hard day yesterday. I walked down from Askham into Barrow in Furness, and then out again to this side of the town, and I'm glad I did actually. It was a very nice, peaceful night, and I'm going to stay on the same campsite in Ulverston as I stayed in a couple of nights ago, 3 nights ago. That again is very, very quiet and out in the sticks, and you do get a peaceful night's sleep, there's no doubt about it. So here we go. I've been walking for about probably nearly 2.5 hours now, 3 hours, and the day is red hot. It's amazing how it's changed. There was a bit of a breeze earlier on, which cooled things a little bit, but it's absolutely still now. There's very little movement, just the odd whisper of a breeze, but not very much at all. And I must be about halfway now between Barrow in Furness and Ulverston, and I'm looking forward to going to Ulverston to have a look around the place. And I think I'm going to need to do that to actually pan out this piece of video, because all the scenery shots have been more or less identical really. When you're looking at such a wide estuary, it's starting to taper down now, but nevertheless there's nothing of interest to see whatsoever. And it's the same with the walking. It really is seriously boring, but you know, these stretches do have to be done. I mean, it seems to be strange to be walking to the north again. As you come around the bulge from Barrow, you turn north and you head up to Ulverston before you get across to the other side and head down for Lancaster. Somewhere around here there is a route across the estuary, across the sand, but on the Ordnance Survey map it says seek local guidance. And so I was just talking to a guy a few minutes ago, asking him if he was a local and if I could seek some guidance from him, and he told me he wouldn't recommend at all crossing the estuary by any other way than road. and or walking round, not to cross, and he said there's been several people killed over recent years who have just wandered into quicksand, and that thought in itself frightens me to death, so I won't be doing that. So it's just have a nice cup of tea, and then I'm going to be moving on up to Ulverston. I think I've reached what they call Canal Head here. There's a railway bridge in the distance, and I think this is going to be it for today. All I need to do now is walk up. There's a straight path into Ulverston, and I would assume that that's by the canal according to my iPhone. So let's just see what happens. And there's a pub here. I wonder if they're still doing food. Well, I think I've just about reached the end of this now. I've walked right along the canal. Beautiful as well, so wide. I don't know why they wanted a canal. It must be 50 metres wide in places. But I can hear the traffic now, so it tells me that I'm getting to the end of this. And then I'm going to walk into Ulverston, get something to eat, and I'm going to show you around Ulverston. After a long walk in the sun, the last thing I felt like was catching a train to Barrow-in-Furness, then a bus or another long walk to Rampside, where the van is parked up by the yacht club. I sat and had a cup of tea and half an hour's rest and caught a taxi to Rampside, then drove back here with the van, rode around for a while and found a good campsite not too far from Ulverston. All in a day's work. Well, it's midday on Wednesday the 6th of June and I've just left Canal Head in Ulverston heading for Grange-over-Sands. Whether I actually make it that far is another thing, because I think it's about 15-16 miles and today is a very complicated crossing, and to illustrate that, by road it's about 18 miles from Ulverston to Grange-over-Sands, and I'm picked out a bit of a shortcut, but it's a little bit complicated. Not taking any risks or going to do anything stupid, but it means I'm going to be constantly checking my map, and the chances of going wrong could be quite high. I'd like to kind of apologise for constantly moaning about, you know, how difficult it's been, and hopefully another couple of days and I'm going to be out of this situation. I'm going to be in Lancashire, where things will be much different, the buses and the trains and everything, and that should hopefully pull me out of this kind of dull mood that I've been in recently. I'm a bit depressed about it, if I'm to be honest. I never expected it to be this tough. Not on my legs or my feet. The walking is the easy part. It's just the logistics of it all is such a bloody nightmare. But I built in a safety net for today, just in case things go pear-shaped. And there's a place called Cark, that's C-A-R-K. There's a railway station there, and I can always get a train back. I've left my van at the campsite where I left it last night, because it's only just up about maybe a mile from the canal head, and again, getting a train back is yet another story. But everything's okay. I'm feeling fine. I want to get this over with. I've had to dig deep, and every ounce of my determination to get me away from here and into pastures new, because it has affected me, there's no doubt. I've never thought of giving up, but I'm never going to give up. I'm very determined to see this through, but this has been a low point, and I'll be very glad when it's over with. Now, one of the problems with this road to Cark is that it's covered in trees, it's dead straight, and it's 6 miles of this, and that's going to take me about 2 hours. Well, it's 4 o'clock now, and I'm about halfway down this section, and now and again you get the clearing of the trees and a bit of sunshine, and it does make a change, but this really is boring. This is about as boring as walking through Middlesbrough, but I'm doing alright. I should get to Cark around about 5 o'clock, then I'll make a decision whether to carry on to Grange of Sands or whether to look for somewhere in Cark, and I'm feeling okay, so I'm hopeful of reaching Grange over Sands tonight, so that'll be a big milestone for me. Today is Thursday the 7th of June and it's the first day of week 9. I've just left the campsite that I stayed in last night in Cark, which was a bit expensive actually. 29 quid for one night is rather a lot, but it was a nice campsite, and to be honest with you, I was in bed by 8 o'clock and I had a couple of phone calls from people, but I was asleep by 9 o'clock and I woke up this morning 6 o'clock, so I had 9 hours sleep, which is great after such a long day yesterday. I walked over 20 miles by the time I'd messed around with collecting the van from going back to Ulverston and collecting the van, and by the time I got back here it was just before 8 o'clock and I was in bed almost immediately. Today's much better because I'll be leaving Cumbria, and I'm sorry about the rather depressing message I put on Facebook yesterday, but that I was like really low, and I feel so much better today, you know, after encouraging messages from people and phone calls and texts and things. It's been great. I don't feel quite as lonely today. So today illustrates the kind of problem I've had, where I'm going to Carnforth. I've got to drive the van to Carnforth. It's 27 miles by road to Carnforth. By train it's about 8 miles, and so I'm getting a train back from Carnforth back to Cark, walking to Grange over Sands, where I can get on a train and just go one stop to Arnside, which takes me over the railway bridge over the very northern end of Morecambe Bay, and that's going to save me 27 miles. and so for just one journey, I'm sure you can forgive me just skipping across the river by train, and then I can walk down through Arnside all the way down to Carnforth, and hopefully I can get parked up in Carnforth quite easily. So here we go. Set off. I'm looking forward to this. All I've got to do is walk about 4 miles to Grange-over-Sands and then jump on the train to Arndale, which is probably about a mile, and then it's all the way down to Carnforth.